All right. This is chapter 3 of Psychology of Women and Gender. This is gender stereotypes and gender differences. And within this chapter, we're going to review all we need to know about the gender of both stereo and differences. So you're welcome to pause, mute my voice. If you just want to read it in peace, we will be reviewing it together and knowing everything you need to know. I also probably will be expecting links, so you can also check those out for more information. And let's get right to this. All right, here's the next one. So we got gender stereotypes. Of course, this is something that talks about the beliefs and men's and women's behaviors. You can see the both right there are clearly in the slide. Here's another one, gender stereotypes, what we said earlier, and it's mostly asking the questions between the two. Now, I don't think there's any links to these, so they didn't leave any links on this slide. Then we have an example. You can see the gender stereotypes between the male and the female, women and men, and you see the differences between the two. Then we have this one, of course, which has some beliefs that are changing. You can see right there each one that talks about from 2008 of their survey. And then we have this one, some gender and beliefs are changing. You can see from 1997, 2018, the percentage and the green, and the two questions that showed. This was like a while back, so this is what they documented. Then you have the stereotypes again. You can pause it to see exactly what this means here, but it's like differences between the men, the women, and there it's a lot you have to know about. And you have this one too. This is the problems with the stereotypes. You see the conflicts within this in their studies. They're showing exactly what what is observed. And we are looking into a lot of this stuff that's clearly different. So I would not be surprised. We have this one another problems with stereotypes. You have stereotype threat, and you could see two images along with this and examples. These are just to show you exactly what is exactly the threat and what's happening within this. Another stereotype threat talks about more about it and more linked to the previous one. Along with, and look at the next one, we have in figure 1.3 an example that shows under no threat conditions and under stereotype threat conditions. You could see the results here between performances of white women and men, and there's that rating chart. You can see their performances. Then we have transgender stereotypes. Those who know what trans women is, to like half male, half female, depending on their body parts. So I guess those individuals will probably know exactly who these are. The slide talks about it. And we have this one, of course, you see more in 2015. Well, there's like probably protests of this, something like that. So it's been happening, of course, across the United States in the modern days too. So you won't be surprised there. And then you have more you can learn about this. This is basically those in the LGBTQ. And you have a link right there that it wasn't on I'll highlight, so I brighten it up so that way anyone could see what that link's talking about. And also in 2022 they also made records. And then we have gender differences between male and female. You can see the chart right there of an example and what we're researching about and each of those traits. Then we have study gender differences, the problem solving, and then their analysis, recording their data here. It talks about everything about that. There was no notes that I know of in this one, so we can go on the next one. Then we have another one called the actual differences in gender. That title said it's entirely different, so I always jump the gun here. And then it talks about what aggressions and their rational are called maybe relational aggressions. You can see those two examples there. So there's differences in those. Then in why gender differences in physical aggression. Well, tells you right there. Each of that you need to know. That's why we are reviewing this, and you are able to pause so you can read exactly what is going down in this area. All right, and then we have this one too, gender differences in self, which basically D equals 21, whatever that means. You can read exactly each of these to understand more about, what differences they're talking about in this slide. It continues with this one with the gender differences of reports from their behaviors to anxiety and empathies, more examples and research of the females. Okay, we know there's something that is male in there, but we're mostly, focus on the females and this entire perspectives. And then we have last but not least this one, which is kind of like a little bit different, I think I should have been like this instead. I keep forgetting to minimize this. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, each of them you could see more of the process of both masculine and female, which are characters of the 1974. So it's like sex, anything to do with this slide, you could see exactly what it is all about. And yeah, so that's about it for this chapter. We'll go on to the next one and see what that one is all about as well. Because I know we have more to talk about or more for us to review from these slides. All right.